Hey there. Wanted to touch base again with another video. I know it's been a while. I have been on a quest to try to find something to replace my Bias FX2, which I happen to love quite a bit. And I've been through a few self-contained devices, and I've returned them all because they're not as flexible and they're not as good. Then that incorporates a lot of things like the ability to move effects at will, the ability to have more than one effect of the same kind, one instance of the same kind of effect, parallel and serial signal chains, things like that that you can do in bias effects. I have come across something that I think is pretty nice, and it's this Ampero Stomp II. I wanted to show you something that there are tons of videos online that do a great job of showing you various aspects of this, but there's a particular function that I wanted to share with you that I haven't seen too much, if anything, about, and it's the effects send and return, which really opens this thing up to a lot of potential. And one of the things I wanted to show you was that you can pair it with bias effects if you like. There are people that excel at showing you how to use these devices for certain types of music, like Taylor Delaney for high gain sounds, and maybe 60 cycle hum for clean sounds, which I go to a lot. I like the ability to do both. So in order to achieve that, I'm looking at something that's flexible in that way. What I wanted to show you in this particular case is how to set up an effects loop, and what you can do if you want to use your bias effects, or you could use anything that any effect that you can get in a software or a PC or laptop or a hardwired effect. I have some hardwired effects, but I just wanted to tap into this because this way there are several modulation effects and so forth that you can use that have a sort of a unique sound that are only available, or they are available at least, in bias effects. So what I've done is I've put together a patch, I guess you could call it, that includes what I attempted to make all of the effects that I could get, but I don't know that I got everything because I have a couple of add-on packs, and I may have. I mean, it's daunting trying to get all this shit in here. Which is the other thing about bias effects that's nice. You're using the horsepower of an iPad, so you can load up a lot of effects before you top out. Whereas the Ampero does have a limit, and you'll know the limit because you'll start to lose a lot of the selections that you can make will start to become grayed out. If you're crafty, you can replace some things with other things that serve a similar purpose, but maybe yet less CPU intensive, which is nice. I think that the amount of effects that you can get away with before you hit the wall on this is pretty impressive, especially for the price. So this is the software, of course. I'm assuming you're probably familiar with this, and I would recommend again that you check some of the other YouTubers that have some really nice and extensive um, coverage of this device in a greater degree. It's very simple. It's an effects send. So let's put this. See, now it's going to depend. If you want to use input effects and you want that are external, then you're going to put your effects send and return before your amplifier. And if that is, of course, if you're using your amp inside Ampero, so you have your external effects, and then you have the Ampero lineup. If you want to use it for post effects, of course, you'd put it down here. Can't move that. Oh yes, put it down here, and then that's the last thing in your chain. And if you wanted to put maybe modulation effects before your reverb, you could do that as well. You could put your reverb down here. Yeah, you could put your reverb down here and then put this just before it. So I'm going to take this out. And we're going to just put this here for now. So What you'll need to do this is, well, if you want to do it in stereo, which is what I'm doing, you're going to need two stereo TRS-2 mono TS splitters. So I have this one. I bought a pair of these. And then you run these out of the, right over here. Oh, you can't see my, right over here, out of the send and return. And so I'm going into this, which I don't recommend. I wouldn't buy this thing. It has a proprietary USB cable, which they didn't disclose before I bought it, but it was like $41 because nobody's buying it. But anyway, it has the inputs and outputs that I needed for this, which is 3/4 inch. So you'll take your stereo out, send it into the stereo in of the device converter, and you'll take the output and send it back in to the return. And the effects loop sets this up for you. You can see we've got signal going into the Ampero. So let's put an effect in line without any amplification. So let's try something that's pretty easy to hear. Let's do, this is where you change your input from mono left and mono right to stereo. I'm changing it to stereo in. You can see that your send level affects the input to the software. See that on the bias effects. The send level, adjust that. I made a mistake there. That was the effects send. You want the effects loop. There we go. So, proof of concept there. All this stuff is available through the effects loop in stereo. And of course, if you wanted to use the amplifiers in here for some reason, do that as well. I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is an amp that I built in Bias Amp. And this is a patch I set up in Bias Effects. And that's completely what we're listening to. It's just going through the effects send and return of the Ampero. Modulation effects that add just a little bit more noise. But you see, not terrible, but it's pretty bad. All right, I'm getting carried away. I really happen to like bias effects quite a bit. So now we're back. And we have access to all these effects. And we can, of course, use them in conjunction with the Ampero. Let's put together an amp. Okay, I hear something that sounds like input distortion, but not the good kind. You could probably set up a parallel. So you see that you can use ascended returns in a lot of great ways. I mean, anything you can send from through another device, particularly in this case the iPad, you can integrate into the Ampero because it has effects send and return, and it has a very flexible effects send and return. It uses stereo, mono, left, right. It has feed through. If you want to use the balanced line out, you need some of these. Converts it to this, so it gives you the balanced line. That's another nice feature of this thing. It's really pretty feature rich and pretty reasonably priced, and it kind of won me over, and so I thought I'd share that with you as far as like for those that might be trying to incorporate and adding a little more flexibility, and you can't afford like a Axe effects or something. So hope you found something useful in that, and I'll see you soon.